This is a chart reading for Melanie, born on March 31st, 2004 at 7:27 a.m. in Heppenheim, Germany. The time of birth, the constellation that was to the east was Aries, so Melanie's rising sign is Aries. Inside the first house, also with the Aries mask, is Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication. It is also speech and writing. And in Aries, in the first house, this is very direct. It's very personal. It's very focused. Probably talks about what she wants to talk about and herself in relation to the rest of the world. I'm going to skip over the North Node and the South Node of the Moon for now and come back to that later, also in the first house. Although that's in Taurus, and now onto Venus in Taurus. Venus is at home in Taurus. Taurus likes things that are beautiful and aesthetic and functional, and it takes time, and Venus likes to be there. She values herself and values her surroundings, and as long as they are aesthetically pleasing and as long as they are steady and moving forward in a direct pace and a direct manner. And Venus is obviously how we feel good, or the kind of care that we like to give to other people. So the direct communication and the caring for people, it might take time because this is Taurus, so it does move slowly. However, it does gain speed and momentum as time passes. This is also, relates back to the mask that she shows people, and that probably also is a steadily moving thing. The second house is a house of resources, how we feel about ourselves, values, material security, self-worth, how we deal with possessions and material attachments. This starts in Taurus and continues on into Gemini. We have Mars here in Gemini, so the value is on information, on things that are new, things that are close to her, close to the natural environment, and driven for them. Although in the second house, there has a foundation of Taurus, because that is second house. It may take time to seek that information out. It may take time to be secure in that information, whether it's found immediately or not. Melanie also has Lilith in Gemini in the second house. Gemini can sometimes be two things, or one thing and then the next. Lilith is, in mythology, the first wife of Adam, and she was an autonomous being and did not want to subjugate herself to Adam. So Lilith is our rebellion against, not necessarily nature, but rebellion against something, or it could be things that have been taken away from us. So either seeking or rejecting whatever this is. And in Gemini, it could be ambiguity, or search for identity, or thinking they're one thing and then the next, or tightly clinging to one type of material security and then the other, or not taking time to do that, just plunging immediately in. This is a definitely very non-conformist attitude about information and material security, attitudes about possessions, and may want to either live in the lappest of luxury and the next moment want to live in a cabin in the woods without electricity or even other human contact. The third house is also Gemini and is the structure of the mind. Our communication, how we think, how we interact with our siblings, and also early school experiences and things that are close to us. In Gemini, this makes us very small. It makes it things that are very close, things that are that are known to us. And about the other half of the structure of Melanie's mind is about Cancer, is about caring, is about nurturing, whether that's giving or receiving nurture. With Saturn here, there is a restriction of that nurturing or a specific type of nurturing. So the thoughts of the emotions in the mind are restricted. Given that Lilith is in the second house in Gemini, it can carry over into this information not being, thinking the information may not have been useful, because emotions are erratic and they're hard to sort out, especially with the rising sign of this person. Saturn is about restriction. It is also about karma. It is about things that take time. If anybody ever wants to break out of themselves, or as astrologers talk about, going past your chart, Saturn is where to go. It takes time, though. You have to put in the work. You have to push against that restriction so that he can give you that karma back. It's a long-term savings account, and you have to put in for quite a while to get some benefit back out of that. So as you put into thinking about those emotions and how to mentally care for others and yourself, this can really open up, and karma will give you much more things. He will show you the way out. On to the fourth house of home and private life and family, psychological foundations, family origins, are your inner base of operations, and usually the influence of the father. So with Cancer here and with no planet, this seems like a loving environment, an environment that there was care and there was love, and there, back to the mental restriction of emotion, there may have been too much, but looks like it was a home of care. Or sometimes without a planet here, there was no influence, and that's what the client seeks. The fifth house starts in Cancer, and this is creativity, recreation, entertainment, pleasure, romance, children, play, animals. Generally anything other than work can fall into this house. Starting in Cancer, there's a little bit of caring here, and the rest of it is Leo. It's about how to build our inner sunshine. This is the natural home of Leo. The moon in Leo in the fifth house. This is the moon in the house of the sun, in the sign of the sun. So it might be a little off balance here, and calling back to, it does actually call back to that Mars in Gemini, looking for information about what to do. Leo moon is usually about feeling like the chart owner either wants to feel like a king or a queen wherever they are, and especially in those realms. Probably very creative person, definitely wants to generate their own sunshine and sees the understanding of that. Their moods are about those things. So not very moody about work or individual relationships, probably, or philosophy or anything of that manner, but much more about anything other than work. Part of fortune is also here. That's the circle with the X through it. Part of fortune, anything you put yourself into, you're going to get a little bit more out of that. Regulus, the star, is also at 1 degrees Leo, and anything where Regulus is, any house that Regulus is in, is also going to give you more than you put in. So any of those creative aspects, or anytime you either entertain others or help others get that, or put yourself into romance or pleasure of any sort for yourself or others, Any playtime is going to give you more of that back than you expect. The sixth house begins in Leo, so daily activities, that's, self-improvement and our employment, actually just work, how we deal with our health and nutrition, our chores, our daily rituals. Although the sixth house starts in Leo, the majority of it is Virgo. Virgo is not a specific house here, and I will go back over that later. Jupiter retrograde in Virgo. Anywhere Jupiter touches or anywhere he is, he expands. And retrograde, there's an intensity of the expansion. Although in Virgo, it is very specific. It's targeted. So I expect there's lots of individual activities. They're probably intense, very, very targeted on, health and nutrition or, chores. Jupiter is also about luck, and retrograde the luck may be focused on one of these aspects, but probably it's about reducing the number of activities during the day or reducing the amount of things that are trying to be improved on a daily basis. Vertex, also in the sixth house in Libra, is a shift point where if conjunctions happen or heavy planetary motion across this point about relationships in the daily life tend to be rather significant. If the sun or moon passes across this point or in opposition or even squares to this point could cause a significant change to daily relationships or balance or order or justice on a daily basis for the person owning the chart. Going backwards just a smidge, Jupiter in retrograde in Virgo in the sixth is saying that he doesn't have enough luck to cover all of the expansion and focus on specific expansion in that house, in the daily. So it's pare back what you're focusing on, and then there will be expansion on a smaller number of things. Now on to the seventh house. Seventh house is relationships of any type. It is also marriage and partnership. It could also be legal matters. It is alliances. It is open enemies. The south node of the moon is also in the seventh house in Scorpio. The south node is considered our past, or where we anchor or where we plant ourselves for our soul's evolution. The north node is where we are to evolve to. So with the south node in Scorpio in the seventh house, this is definitely about partnerships. In Scorpio, this is more about monetary relationships. This is about trust. This is definitely also, Scorpio also rules rebirth and sex and deep experiences. And that is the foundation for the evolution for the chart owner. The north node in Taurus, the opposite sign for Scorpio, is about material security. It's also about faith in self or self-esteem for the person directly. And as the chart owner is an Aries and an Aries rising, this comes across to people in a very direct way. In Vedic astrology or in Eastern Indian astrology, the south node of the moon is considered to be the sign of Scorpio or Scorpionic because the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus, although the Cancer is the home of the moon, but the moon is exalted in Taurus, so they consider the north node of the moon to be the element of Taurus. So these are the home elements of the north and the south node, and these elements are actually coming to be at the end of January. The nodes are currently at 0 degrees of Gemini and Sagittarius, north node in Gemini. And at the end of January, the nodes will shift into Taurus and Scorpio, north and south node respectively. So this is going to be a very intense time for the chart owner, for their face, for their subjective experience, and also for their relationships. The decisions that are made will shift from their material security and resources and self-esteem into things that are good for them directly, but not to base life choices on relationships or trust or other people's money or monetary business relationships, or definitely even sex. And that will those themes will definitely be playing out in the world as a whole and in the media. And as the chart owner is an Aries and an Aries rising, they will see that they are mirroring the collective experience of humanity. The 8th house starts in Scorpio, although the majority of it is Sagittarius. And so the peak experiences, or renewal, rebirth, deeply felt experiences, how we grow and change, is partially about those financial or trust partnerships, those sexual encounters, or those sexual relationships, but mostly about travel or foreign peoples, foreign lands, actual, mind expansion, philosophy. So that is more of the peak for the chart owner. With no planet here, it's just a general experience and nothing to pull it one way or another or to focus it. The 9th house begins in Sagittarius, and which is the natural home of Sagittarius. Again, higher meaning, mind expansion, philosophy, journey, travel. With Pluto here, there is another Scorpionic aspect. Pluto is one of the co-rulers of Scorpio, so we're also talking about death and rebirth and deep experiences. There is an element of fear associated with Pluto, but the experiences this person has and how they rebirth themselves through that mind expansion is how they evolve as a person, in conjunction with, obviously, their North and South Node soul evolution. 10th house is Capricorn, which is achievement, authorities. It's their public life, their recognition, their vocation or their chosen career, and just generally fame, like how people know them, what they're known for. With Chiron in the 10th house, Chiron is, in mythology, he is a centaur, he is a wounded healer. He has a wound that he can't heal for himself, but he can heal others. The symbol for Chiron is obviously a key, and what's required is take the key in hand, put it in the lock, turn the lock, push the door open. It's always required that effort be put in directly. And with Capricorn, this is about, structure and business and possibly family. And this is always needed to continue to move forward. So chart owner possibly has trouble with business or their career on a whole, but wherever they are a healing element to anybody else they're around, which in turn helps the chart owner move forward. The 11th house also begins in Capricorn, but the majority of it is Aquarius, and this is the natural placement for Aquarius's 11th house, but there is a business element that begins it and owns it. With Neptune in Aquarius, although 11th house is group involvements, club, collective endeavors, friendships, humanitarian ideals, global awareness, and it's friends also. With Neptune here, there is an element of God or a connection with the divine. It's also, dreams and ideals. Neptune also blurs details around the edges of things. So friends and the ability to connect with the collective may be confusing, or there may be in the mind of the chart owner, they feel they have a belief structure that is a higher order, not necessarily of intelligence, but of belief in what those global consciousness ideas should be, or who their friends should be, or possibly that they want their friends to be spiritual people. The 12th house begins in Aquarius, but is mostly Pisces. 12th house is about our service to humanity, how we self-transcend, how we sacrifice, how we run away or retreat from the world, and repressed parts of ourselves. With Uranus in Pisces here, Uranus is the planet of actual intelligence. He's the timekeeper of the universe. It's also about technology, but it's also erratic behavior. So whenever service to humanity becomes erratic, that's a sign for the chart owner that they need to shift their focus, or change their activity, or who they're with, or how they're doing it. Uranus will definitely send lightning bolts into something and make it seem erratic, but that is the intelligence of the universe coming through, showing the chart owner that they need to shift their focus and change how they're doing things. There's an intelligence there to it. In Pisces, it's also about belief. It's also about divine love. It's also about bridging worlds that didn't connect before, just like the symbol denotes. Also in the 12th house is the chart owner's sun in Aries. So the manner of service to humanity, strangely enough, as with anyone, the best gift that you can give to humanity is yourself. And I have no doubt the chart owner believes this about themselves. They believe possibly that they are their own religion. Anyone that's a 12th house sun or heavy 12th house possibly has this feeling, and they are correct in that. An element I wanted to come back to is that there is no house that starts or ends with Virgo or with Pisces. Normally, 6th house would be Virgo for an Aries rising, but due to the date, time, and location of the time of birth, there's no house that starts or ends in Virgo or Pisces, which can alter the chart owner's perception of which individuals to serve, who to serve, whether to serve themselves or another person or another group of people, and how to serve the collective humanity. Who to give their divine love to, what groups, or how to serve, like I said, humanity. The ruler of Virgo is Mercury, and as the Mercury for the chart owner is in Aries in the 1st house, they do talk about themselves. They talk about themselves in a very direct way, or they talk to people about a very direct way, and use themselves as the anchor. That is, the way out of this, but to talk about their daily life, and not necessarily to vent about daily events, but actually to talk about the details of daily life in reference to themselves, or in reference to whomever they're in a partnership with, whether it's business or otherwise, which can definitely open that up. Back to Jupiter being in Virgo inside the 6th house, which starts in Leo, person could feel very motherly to humanity. The owners chart, the planets that own Pisces are Jupiter and Neptune both. As Jupiter is in the 6th house, there is a call from Pisces to Virgo to open that up. That could be the expansion or the focus, Jupiter being retrograde in Virgo, reminding the chart owner that there is a greater humanity to serve beyond the self, although serving the self or attempting to serve the self in too many ways tends to make things very blurry for the collective, which is where the chart owner's Neptune is in Aquarius. So trying to serve too many, or trying to shift focus too many times, or to serve too many different groups, or unsure of which groups to serve, can make things very blurry. But communication is the easiest way that will open up Virgo inside the chart owner, and will bring a purity to themselves and help them move beyond their chart and expand very significantly on a daily basis. That closes out the reading for the chart owner. If anyone or the chart owner has any questions about this chart or others, they can place a comment in the comment section, and I will get back to them as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Melanie, for allowing me to put your chart up on YouTube, and any further communication is welcome. Thank you.